supporters they are, Rooch. Big game coming up at Alberton Oval. I think you can get there about 6,000.
Gates just opened.
Just opened at 4 o'clock. Game gets underway at 5. We heard from Chad Corns a little earlier. Let's hear from the Adelaide Crows midfield coach for the first time this year. Happy New Year, Nathan Van Berlo.
G'day, Kimbo. Rooch, great
Hello,
to talk
Nathan.
again, and Happy New Year to you too.
How was your New Year's break, or Chrissy holiday break? Did you go back to Perth?
We were back in Perth, and it was stinking hot, but nice family time back there, and 3 weeks the players and staff get over Christmas now with the CBA and how everything unfolds. So it was a very nice break, but distant memory now. It's been a few weeks back into training, and footy's back tonight, so it's pretty exciting.
Yeah,
Speaking of breaks, Nathan, we were most concerned. We heard that Matt Crouch had a bit of a concern with a hand. How's that all played out this week, and how much time can you give him now?
Yeah, look, he's fine. He, I believe, had scans, would have been yesterday. He had a bit of a knock on his hand at training, and I think they were originally just talking about some bruising and maybe some stretched ligaments, etc. But he's out there, as I speak now, looking at him running over the ground and playing with the footy. So he's, as far as I know, he's good to go tonight.
Good news.
So that's we dodged one there, which was good.
Yeah,
VB, we know you've got work to do. We've only got you for 5 minutes, so we'll jump in. We spoke to Chad Corns. They've basically only got Toddy Marshall out, Rooch, and who else? There was one other, I think. Who's not playing for you tonight that would be likely to be in your best 23?
So, Jordan Butts, Wayne Miller, Rory Sloane and Jake Saliga are probably the 4 at the moment that are Nick Murray, obviously, later in the year, and Harry Schomburg. But those 4 won't play this week, and likely next week we'll get some minutes into Wayne Miller, Jordan Butts and Jake Saliga, which, again, how much time they get next week will depend on how much training they get done this week. But I believe the outlook is positive for them to get some minutes in, which will give them a good chance for round 1.
So what you do tonight, looking at round 1, will it be much different? Like the way you use Rochelle and Isaac Rankin, will that be an indication how you line up in round 1 in terms of midfield minutes?
It's certainly part of the plan. We have exposed them more so than what they have done in the last, I suppose, 18 months around the footy. So you'll certainly see a fair bit more of Isaac and Josh playing some midfield minutes, which we like the dynamic they give us around the footy. They give us a bit of X factor, and they also can, we know, be really challenging ahead of the ball. So we don't want to take away from the strength that it does give us ahead of the ball, but we also like what we've seen of them around the footy. So they'll definitely spend some more minutes around the ball, which, we've liked what we've seen over summer.
Nathan, a lot of the narrative into this season will be about Adelaide's defence. We know the hits you've taken. We know how you plugged them pretty well last year. How challenging is it at the moment to work out how to fit that back 6 and then how your midfield also protects them?
Yeah, it does come ultimately back to your team defence, and if we're able to, from a midfield point of view, be consistent at stoppage and not put our back under the pump, that certainly helps. If we're able to be cohesive as a whole team unit and work with our backs, that helps. And I know Jack Homsey, our defensive coordinator, he's certainly working through what that mix behind the ball is going to look like, and that may be something that we change from week to week depending on what the opposition presents to us as well. So we'll get a good chance over the next 2 weeks to look at a couple of different looks as well as some different personnel. So we've got some guys that are, those sort of, I guess, handy utility type sizes with the likes of Worrell and Hinge and Smith, who can play tall and small. So, we'll work through a couple of different looks over the next 2 weeks.
So for your supporters that will watch it online and that are heading down to Alberton, so there's 6 terms tonight, correct me if I'm wrong. Would the first 3 terms be your best 22?
Yeah, we'll look to play a stronger team in the first 3 to 4 quarters, and then play a hybrid mix over the back 3 quarters, and play some guys in probably some different positions, and guys that are pressing to spots. So, that's the general gist of how tonight will look.
Who's going to play in a different position, and where are we expecting to see Luke Pedlar play?
Yeah, but Luke will spend most of his time ahead of the ball as he did last year. He may get some time up and around the footy as a midfielder, similar to what he did last year, but he's another one. I mentioned Rochelle and Rankin earlier in the piece that has done a lot more work around the footy, so we'll look to increase his exposure as well. And there's a lot of guys in our squad. Like we try and encourage guys to be dual or multi-position players, because for a lot of guys to get your way into the side or to keep your spot in the side, you need to be able to play a variety of roles so that you're not just pigeonholed as being a one-spot player. So there'll be guys like, I'm just trying to think of one now looking at the oval, like a Ned McHenry will play some time on the wing, he'll play some time ahead of the ball, and he might even pinch hit around the footy if we need him as well, just exposing guys to perhaps a different role that haven't ordinarily played, but it's important for their development.
Could be an interesting forward line, slightly smaller forward line if you've got Rankin Rochelle there, maybe Ned McHenry. Lockie Murphy, now part of your leadership group, so you expect him to be playing, and Lukey Pedler as well.
Yeah, look, we've got some definitely some small talent ahead of the ball, and complemented by our big boys with Walker, Fogarty, Silthorpe, Gallant and Burgess. So there's certainly some tall timber there that will help them out, but we're good enough to clunk it, great. And if it comes to ground level, they're certainly going to cause some headaches for those opposition defenders as well.
Nathan, I've liked the way in which Adelaide has had a plan. They've stuck to it, never got spooked by it, always worked step by step. What's the next step? What's 2024 going to bring in this plan?
Yeah, Roots, it is about continual growth, and I guess I can only speak from my experience since coming back to the footy club a few years ago, and that's being immersed in that clear plan, and it hasn't deviated one bit. The difference this year is there's the increase in expectation, as there naturally should be, and as a playing group, they want more as well, which is fair enough, and our fans do too. So we're looking to improve again, which will ultimately mean that we're pushing to play finals footy this year, and we should play that if we're able to play at or near our best and keep a healthy list. So that would be hopefully a continued progression on years gone by, but as I said, stick to the plan, and that is part of the plan.
I wouldn't imagine there's too many secrets tonight being a trial game, so help me with your defence for tonight for the first three terms. Obviously, Michael Annie back there. Would it be Worrell, Ball Ace and Mark Keane? If that's correct, who's your smaller defender?
Yes, we'll play. Did you mention Smith in that?
No, Brody, no. Oh, that was a given.
No. Yeah, Brody Smith. Will Hamill will spend some time down back in the first couple of periods, and Luke Nankervis may also get a look behind the ball as well. So, they're probably a couple of names that I'm looking at in the field right now as who will start behind the ball for us.
So Paddy Parnell would be playing the last three quarters possibly, or terms, I should say.
Yeah, more than likely, yeah.
Okay. And your wings, there's always been a constant battle there. How are they looking? Who's likely? Who's the front runners at the moment?
Yeah, again, a lot of our wings have had some consistent summers. Chase Jones and Lockie Scholl have been our two front runners in that space, but they've had a couple of guys hot on their heels. Jake Saligo's obviously not playing tonight, but he's had a really strong summer. I mentioned guys like Ned McHenry, Luke Nankervis, who can play some time up and around the wing. We have had some of our half-back players in Brody Smith and Mitch Hinge also spent some minutes on the wing. So a number of guys there that will roll through. But I guess to start off with, we'll have Jones and Scholl playing the wing role that they did for a large part of last year.
I know you've got to go, VB. There's so many questions to ask, but Daniel Curtin, later in the night or early?
Yep, Dan will come on. I think the plan is after half-time in the back third or fourth quarter, we might look to give Dan some minutes depending on where the group's at in terms of their GPS data and what they need to get out of the game. But he's another one that's come in and impressed all of us with his professionalism and his footballing ability and what he's hopefully going to bring to the footy club for a long period of time. So I think our fans will be pretty excited to see, I guess, the sheer size of him and the way he's able to move and hopefully what he brings to our group, as I said, for a long period of time.
Yeah, and Crow supporters will be very interested to keep an eye on Riley Thilthorpe, which we didn't get time to talk about, but we'll do that later and throughout the year. VB, really appreciate your time. Let's hope there's no injuries tonight.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Nathan.
Nathan Van Berlo. Very open there.
Well, it might as well be. It's all going to be seen in the next hour.
Exactly. So interesting, that defence that everyone talks about. Michael Annie, Hinge, Smith, Worrell, Ball Ace, and Mark Keane. I think Mark Keane's going to have a really, if last year wasn't a breakout year, I think he's going to be great. This is his first real pre-season he's ever had.
Bit of work to do there, though, isn't there, in that group?
What,
it's a new group. They've got to fit together. They've got to work it all through. Yep.
Oh, no, I'm not as stressed about it as you, Rich.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Really? All right. The prophet of doom. 4-11 now. Now I feel flat.
There's a prophecy.
I've taken him out the 8 now.
Oh, dear.